Jesus is the mediator to where like I have full access to God now. Like he is the reason that I can talk to him whenever. And that there's just something super cool about that.
Welcome back to Keepin It 100.
What's up, guys?
Hey, guys.
Hope you guys have had a good week. Hope you guys enjoyed the last episode a lot. It was a really good episode. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it. It is really good. Has a lot of good stuff in it. Pastor Ed is so knowledgeable.
Dude, it's
crazy. You can talk to him for days, and he just will keep pouring out knowledge. It's insane. So we have a guest today.
Yeah, as you can tell, we've got our friend MaKayda Irvin over here.
Hey.
Thank you so much for coming on, MaKayda.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's
Absolutely.
Really cool. I'm stoked to be here. So
we're stoked to have you.
Yeah.
Good.
So, start off, got a little icebreaker.
Okay.
If you had a movie made about your life, what genre would it be and who would play you?
Ooh, okay. Does it have to be a movie or can it be a show?
It can be a show.
Okay. So I really, really like, even within just moments at work and stuff, I know this is probably silly, but I really like The Office. I've watched it a couple times now. Not saying that that's the best option out there. I know that there's definitely some jokes and stuff that probably aren't appropriate, but whatever.
It's so funny, though.
It is funny. I think that the whole show in itself is my humor, like very like kind of dry, sarcastic. So like when Jim makes jokes and stuff, that's kind of like my type of humor. So I would say The Office. I'm not really sure, but I've been told that I'm like Pam, and I'm not offended by that, but I also think I don't know who I'd be. I don't know if I'd want to be Pam or if I'd want to be somebody else, but I've been told that I'd be Pam. So I don't know.
I feel like
kind of
Pam's
makes
the best
sense, only because some of the things from The Office do remind me of like what I do for work. So I guess that makes sense if I was Pam.
Yeah.
So
Speaking of your work real fast, you work
Okay.
at Little Tractor.
I do.
Does that mean you drive little tractors around?
You'll just see her on the
I
road.
actually
Like little
don't.
clown tractors?
Yeah, I actually don't. I've been in a few commercials.
That's
I actually
awesome.
did see you in one, I think.
Yeah,
I
I
think
was in a tractor. Unfortunately, I did not drive the tractor.
Do you know how to operate a tractor?
So I will not lie to you. It would take me probably a YouTube tutorial to remember how. But my dad showed me all the basics, and last summer he showed me and Mom how to operate the tractor. But his has a hydrostat in it, so I don't. Hydrostat? Is that what it is?
I don't know.
This is me proving that I don't know what
I
I'm talking
don't
about.
know much about tractors, so
Okay,
you know better than I do.
Anyway, it's not like an old-fashioned to where you have to shift. It's more manual, which is completely fine. But so I only know that. I wouldn't know anything older than that.
Okay.
So
yeah, I don't know anything about.
Yeah, I think it's hydrostat because I register the tractors and stuff. So
Okay.
if you came in and you bought a tractor, I'm the one that's going to register it for the warranty and stuff.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So if someone bought, we sell Coyote. So if someone bought like
coyotes.
Yeah, Coyotes.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So if somebody bought like a CK2620 and then it had an H after it, I'm 99% positive that's what hydrostat.
What were you talking about? That sounds
It's
like gibberish.
It's a model of a tractor.
Interesting.
Yes.
Lots of
Anyway.
numbers.
This is her other language. She's
Yeah.
fluent in.
Yeah. Yes, actually, yeah. Yeah.
So, Christian, what about you? If you had a movie made about your life?
Oh, that's such a difficult one. I don't really know. I feel like it'd be very boring, honestly. I don't
That's
know.
not a good way to talk about yourself.
Well, I was homeschooled from
Speak life, my boy.
Okay, let's see. I really don't know what it would be like, because it's so hard to describe my how I was when I was a child and everything, and how my life goes. So I really don't know. Now, can I still do how I would want it to be made?
Sure.
Okay.
Why not?
Yeah, just make up a movie. It's fine.
Yeah, I would like it to be made in like I don't know, the style of like how they filmed The Fall Guy or something.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Okay.
Yeah, I really like the way they filmed that. So I think it'd be cool.
That was
to
such a
film-
good movie.
To film my
Yeah.
life like that. I don't know how you would, but that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
I really don't know though. So
Who would play you?
who would play me? Grant Gustin.
Grant Gustin?
I love Grant Gustin.
Yeah.
With
Okay.
all of my heart. He's so cool.
Okay.
Well, I'm a goober, so I feel like my movie would be a comedy.
Okay. Yeah, that fits.
And let's say Ryan Reynolds. I would like Ryan Reynolds to play me in a
Okay.
movie.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty funny. He's a cool dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a pretty cool dude.
Ryan Reynolds, if you see this, come on the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that would be pretty cool. If he saw it.
Yeah.
We'll tag him in the comments and
Yeah.
everything. Get him to look at it.
That I would go see a movie about you guys in theater. That would be pretty fun.
I'll go
Cool.
see
Yeah.
that.
Well, I mean, mine would be better because it would be a whole series.
Yeah. Aaron's half the time would just be him making monkey noises.
Yeah.
And-
Yeah.
yeah. That's all you. That's like every episode. Half of the episode is just gonna be that, or not episode. Every like the whole thing is just gonna be that.
So it's just like ASMR of me making
Oh,
monkey
gosh.
noises.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
You have to hold that thing like a mile away for it to be like ASMR.
Yeah.
Do I get a gorilla suit and get bananas? Or-
Sure. Yeah.
Let's
We'll
go.
give you some bananas and a gorilla suit if you really want it.
That'd be awesome. All right, let's get into the good stuff, though.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Christian, you want to ask her the first question?
Sure.
Yeah.
So, you've been taking like a Bible theology course, right, in college?
Mhm.
So, like, what's that been like for you to take that?
Okay. So for anybody watching that's curious, I'll go into a little bit of detail if
Mhm.
that's okay.
Yep.
So no, absolutely not.
Podcast
There's
is
like-
over. You need to leave.
Yeah, actually, no. What are you doing here? Who invited you? No. So I am going through a ministry training center, which is basically just a Bible college, and it's based out of northern Georgia, and it's called Kaneo. It's on a smaller scale, so there's not like a huge, like my class out of everywhere, it's not a huge class. There's probably, I don't know, maybe 400 people in my class, like out of everywhere. Like they have locations in like Australia too.
Wow.
They just did that this year, so I actually probably have some classmates in Australia that
That's
maybe
so
I'll meet one
sick.
day. I
Wow.
mean, like
Pretty
that would be
cool.
super cool.
Yeah.
But like what has it done for me? Was that the question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Well, I mean,
I was just like wondering what like it was and
okay.
and like
Just
yeah.
more detail about it. Okay.
but
So, I started taking it because my boss actually suggested it to me. He and his wife took year one of Kaneo because there's 4 years, and you graduate at the end of each year. So, but with a diploma, right? So, like if you went to a normal junior college, like and you take your generals, that's kind of what the diploma is at Kaneo. And so, so last year I graduated with a diploma in biblical theology. Never thought, like if you asked 18-year-old MaKayda freshly out of high school, never in a million years would I have guessed that. Like I would have thought that wasn't possible for me. Just because for whatever reason I told myself that I couldn't do that. And so anyway, I started it because my boss had suggested it, and him and his wife, Leslie, are some of my spiritual mentors, which doesn't happen very often. Not very often can people say that their boss is like also a Christian
yeah,
and B like
pretty cool.
actually leaders in your spiritual walk too. So
yeah,
like
that's pretty cool.
yeah, I'm super thankful for them. And he is definitely someone, because I see him at work every day. He's definitely someone that's been super monumental in my walk anyway, with my walk of faith and, you know, with following Jesus. He's definitely been somebody that's like an encourager, and tells it to me straight. Like he's going to be super honest with me, which I appreciate. And he literally said, you need to take this class. And I was like, okay, all right. Well, I was thinking it was like one class, maybe on Sunday nights for a few weeks. No, this is like, you need to sign up back up for school. Well, I haven't been to school, like college, for probably about 4 years. And then and I always told myself, because I didn't finish junior college, didn't get a degree. So like really the highest form of education other than a couple college classes that I had was my high school diploma.
Yeah.
And I never let that bother me, especially where we live. Like, that's not the end of the world.
No.
And I love that people go and further their education, but I also don't think that that's what defines you as a human being.
Yeah.
And I don't think that, I think it's valuable, but I don't think that that places value on you as a person, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
so I always said that I would go back when I knew what I wanted to do, and and I was footing the bill. So I also would go back because I didn't want to like change my major multiple times. And so I went back because I wanted to learn more about Jesus. And that's really, people ask me what I'm going to do with my degree. Because at the end, I signed up to also tack on degree classes along with the diploma classes. And so at the end, I'll have a bachelor's in biblical studies.
Wow.
That's
So,
awesome.
Yeah. My dad's like, what are you going to do with that? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't
God
know.
has for it.
Yeah, exactly. Because at this point, I'm learning so much about Jesus, and he is teaching me so much. And there's moments to where I'll come home from class and I'm just like crying, like ugly crying, like not a pretty tee-hee, like put this on the movies type of crying. Like if they were filming me like The Office, like this is the ugly, like please turn away from the camera moment. But there's been multiple moments to where he's just like really softened my heart, which is something that really needed to be done. So yeah, I don't know if that answered your question.
No, it did.
Okay.
That's awesome.
So it's a 4-year thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it sounds
like
a huge commitment because the first year when I signed up, I was like, oh my gosh, like 4 years, because I was, okay, so now I'm 25. Last year I was 24. I was like, okay, well, when I signed up, I was 23, right? Because I started school right before my 24th birthday. And I'm like, I'm going to be 27 by the time I graduate. Like, not that that's a bad thing. It's not, but that's just not what because you know how you plan out your own life for yourself. That's not what I had planned at all. But at the same time, it's a huge blessing. Like, now I couldn't imagine anything else any other way. Now I'm kind of like, okay, whenever that ends, what am I going to do after that? You know, other than applying all of this knowledge. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah. So what's been like the most impactful part of all of it?
Oh, okay. It's hard to say all of it, honestly. There's been multiple things that, like lessons specifically, and that we've gone over in class that have just been really good. But I think probably, can I tell you my favorite thing that I learned in class? Is that okay? Does that fit the question? Okay, so my favorite thing that I learned in class, which I did not know this beforehand, but in Matthew 27, whenever it's talking about the crucifixion of Jesus, turning there, because why paraphrase when I have the Bible right next to me? Sorry.
It's okay.
I was thinking the same thing.
I keep flipping to Mark. What am I doing? I'm nervous.
5.
That's what it is.
4. 3.
I'll just be honest.
2.
I'm nervous. Okay.
Time
anyway.
is up.
But whenever. Yes. Okay. So like verse. Like 32 on down. No. 45.
Right. So Matthew chapter what?
27.
Chapter 27.
And then 45. So whenever Jesus is actually on the cross, I had no idea that, because have you heard whenever Jesus is on the cross and he says, you know, my God, why have you forsaken me? Well, I have always been taught that was because God, like Jesus was wearing so much sin on literally the weight of everyone's sin in the whole world, past, present, future, like all sin was on him during that moment. Which, to be fair, true. Okay, so he was the atonement for all of our sin. I'm not disagreeing with that by any means. But I also have had it told to me that the reason that Jesus said that is because God couldn't bear to look at that sin. Like, he completely turned his face away from Jesus during that moment. And that never made sense to me. And it made it really hard for me to come to God with any of my struggles and any of my trials or anything like that. Because I thought to myself, well, if God couldn't look at his own perfect son that was fully man and fully God on the cross, like, how could he ever look at me through my sin? You know, you're like, how could, because I had this picture of God to where he had his arms crossed and he had his back turned away from me, and anytime I'd call on him, that's how it was. He was always disappointed in me. That's how I grew up viewing God. And then we learned in class, and I will preference this, sorry, by saying my class is a very evangelical school. It's very like Acts is still alive school. So it ruffles a little bit of feathers. So it's very spirit filled. It's not just not that Baptist churches are bad, but it's not the Baptist church that I went to growing up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's very like kind of in your face, but just showing you truth, not like to make anybody, humiliate anybody or make anybody feel bad. But what I learned in class is in Psalms 22, it's the whole thing. So if you want to like double check me, I am 100% okay with that. Whenever in verse 1 of Psalms 22, it literally said, my God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from helping me and from the words of my groaning? So the very first verse that Jesus says on the cross is quoting Psalms 22. And the reason, and I know that people can just say that, people can just say whatever they want, right? And it, as long as I mold it into whatever, of course it's going to sound like that's what Jesus was talking about. Well, the main thing that my school teaches is like the significance of the Jewish culture. We dive really deep into that because that's what Jesus lived in.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a Jew, right? We can't forget that. And so during this time, Jesus, we can all agree that was a rabbi, right? During his time. And so, and he's still our rabbi. He's still teaching us even throughout our daily lives, which is super cool. Because we can feel so distant from the Bible characters, but really we have the same teacher, which I think is unbelievable. You know what I'm saying? So whenever a rabbi would quote something, previous scripture, that all the Jews, because during that time they knew scripture like the back of their hand, way better than we ever do, like ever could even dream of. So if I to you say, I pledge allegiance to the flag, well, you guys already know the rest of the Pledge Allegiance, right? You can kind of like say it within your head.
Oh no.
Frank, I forgot.
Oh my God.
Albert.
But the whole
Did
point
you take
is
your
like,
pills today?
oh my God.
No.
Oh my Lord.
Absolutely not.
Well, the whole point is, if I say I pledge allegiance to the flag, you guys know the rest of it, right?
Yeah.
Even if you don't say it out loud, you know it in your head. So
it was basically like he was saying that so the people
they would. Yeah, exactly. Whenever he said that, those Jews during that time and the Romans that were also there during that time, whenever Jesus was on the cross getting crucified, they knew that he was quoting Psalm.
Yeah.
Like they knew that. So they're seeing, and if you read all of Psalms 22, which I highly suggest that you go read it and parallel it with, because in the Bible app, the YouVersion Bible app, you can actually parallel stuff. So if you take Psalms 22 and parallel it with Matthew 27, it's like word for word what happened to Jesus on the cross. Like, this is David prophesying, King David, right? He wrote this, and this is him prophesying what's going to happen to the Messiah. And that you can see it. So all these Jews are seeing Jesus on the cross, and they're seeing him like dying for our sins, some of them still not acknowledging that he's the Messiah. And they're seeing it. Like, he says, my God, why have you forsaken me? And he's not actually saying, God, what are you doing? Like, I'm your one and only son, and you're not even paying any attention to me. Like, is all of this in vain? Like, that's not what he's saying. What he says this because even in this moment, he's still a teacher. Yeah. And he's saying this. Wow. And like, even Mary Magdalene was at his feet. I mean, I can only assume that she was there anyway. Yeah. And 'cause she's the first one to the tomb, you know, so she's close, right? And so, like, people like Mary Magdalene, even her, like, she's sitting at the feet of Jesus, and he's like, my God, why have you forsaken me? And they're taken immediately back to Psalms 22. And they're seeing it played out. And that is telling them that he is the Messiah. Like, there's so many things like that happen in the Bible. But anyway, a very long-winded answer. That was my favorite thing, because that means that God didn't forsake his son. And it literally says that in Psalms 22. So sorry.
No, you're fine.
I should have looked this up beforehand.
You're good.
But one of them, I can't remember which verse it is, but it's towards the end. It literally says that, like, he has not turned his face away from me. Like, it completely debunks the whole theory of, oh, God couldn't even bear to see the weight of the sin of the whole world on his son, you know? Anyway, but for me, that completely changed my relationship with God. Yeah. Now I feel like I can freely, and I could before, but now I feel like there's not this, I can't even come to the throne of glory and to God without me thinking that he doesn't even want to hear what I have to say. So that, for me, I learned that in year 1 Kaneo, and that for me, like, completely changed my relationship with Jesus. Yeah. Like, now I feel like I can actually freely talk to him, and I could before. We know that now, but sometimes there's just certain things that help different people on a personal level. Yeah. And for me, that was the thing that was like, there's literally nothing, there's no barricade between me and God. Yeah. Like, Jesus is the mediator to where, like, I have full access to God now. Like, he is the reason that I can talk to him whenever. And that there's just something super cool about that.
No, that is awesome.
That's awesome.
Anyway, that's a really long answer.
No, I love it. I'm glad you shared. That's incredible.
Yeah. I don't know.
There could be somebody else that needed to hear all that. So. Yeah. No, you're fine.
If you have more questions, you message me. I will talk about it all day, literally. I mean, that answer was probably 15 minutes. So I'm sorry.
No, we love it. You know, just like you learned it, you know. Yeah. You're teaching others, so it's amazing.
Yeah, I think you had mentioned that one time before, but I completely forgot about it.
Yeah, I was so stoked about it. So I immediately texted Kyle and Allie that lead our Sunday school class, and I was like, can I please talk about this in Sunday school? And I did. And the only one that knew about it, because I think a lot of people think the same way that I used to.
Yeah, that's how I thought.
And that's, I don't think that people in the church, like, intentionally were trying to be malicious or anything like that. I just think that there's a lot of stuff, myself included, that we just unintentionally misinterpret. Yeah. And I think, and my mom and I have had conversations about this before, but just about how we kind of wish that we could read the Bible and it makes sense the way that it would have to the Jews at that time or to the people at that time, depending on, you know, like, what audience they're talking to. And yes, I agree with that. But at the same time, like, on our end, our responsibility as Christians, we have to be hungry enough to want to dive deep in here. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have way more resources now than they've ever had. And we still have people that are just like, I just don't get it. well, that was me. I'm not going to say that it wasn't. But we really don't have an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're just, more than anything, I think we just need to check our heart posture and see, like, ask ourselves if we're really hungry.
Yeah.
You know, like, are we really hungry? Do we really want to know more about God? And I get that there's grace. There's tons of grace.
Endless.
But I think that there's also nothing wrong with being just simply honest with yourself sometimes, because that's where I had to get. I realized that I didn't care as much as I should, and now I've been fed like these little pieces of manna it's like little chunks that God's given me because He knows that I can't handle all of it at once. But it makes me like so hungry for the next thing.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I don't know. I love school. Never thought I'd ever say that. But I think it's because it's a topic that I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
Like this, I'm learning about the person that I get to spend my eternity with.
Yeah.
And I get to start now. Like, that's the cool thing.
Mm-hmm.
So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So is there like a website you can go to, like how did you sign up to do that? Because like there might maybe somebody else would want to.
Yeah,
or
for
something.
sure. So do you guys have like notes and stuff too, like in the description?
Yep.
In the description below, we'll have it linked for you.
Absolutely.
I can send you guys the link. I think it'd just be easier that way. And I don't remember it off at the top of my head. It's like Kaneo dot something.
Okay.
But I don't want to say it wrong. But I can definitely give you guys the link if
we'll
the registration link.
Okay. We'll put that in the description.
Put that in the description, and we'll tag your like socials in the description as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them. There's also an info@Kaneo something like an email.
Yeah.
So if they have any questions, I can give them that too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool.
Leading into the next topic, you had said like 18-year-old you would not, expect this.
Yeah. No.
So what's your story? How did you come to God?
Okay. I wish I could say that I could give you the short version, but that's already, I think you guys know that that's just not my personality. So
1 hour later.
long story long, I will start. Where do you want me to start? Just like right
all
before
the way
I
back,
got saved?
Like
infant? No. Just
when you were born, your birthday.
Out of the womb.
Well, my mom was like 21. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Yeah. No. So where do I want to start? There's also things that I'll preference it by this. I'm not ashamed of like my story. By all means, I'm not. But I also think that there's a lot of wisdom and keeping respect for the people that were in my past. So I'm not going to say any names or anything
absolutely.
like that. Not that I think you guys were expecting me to, but just kind of like a little, what is that called? Whatever. Not foreshadow, but like a little disclaimer. That's what it is.
Okay.
Well, okay, I'll just start in like when I stopped going to church. I grew up in church, went with my mom every Sunday. Grew up in a little Baptist church. Had a really tight-knit community. Like we have an awesome youth group with our kids now because we all like mentor them, like if you will. That seems like such a weird word because I feel like I still need to be mentored because we will for the rest of our lives we will. If we're being honest, but it feels like too much of an honor for me to like actually hold that and claim it and like claim that title as mine, but more because I just love those girls, and I know that you guys love the guys that you have in your guys' groups, but it just seems so cool. Like it's surreal that like we're the older kids. Like that's crazy. I don't know.
I still feel like a child inside.
You are a child inside.
Well, child at heart.
Yeah, child at heart.
Yeah, but yeah, but so I grew up in church. Went until I was probably 16 or so, 17. I played tons of sports, so I let that get in the way. And I started dating a boy, and we we dated throughout the rest of high school. We started dating whenever I was like, I think I was 17. He was a year older than me. And that all started because I needed a prom date. And then we started dating. And then we dated for a while. We dated for like 4.5 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a while. And so right after that, like right after high school and stuff, I didn't go to church during that time. And 100% of that is because of me. Like 100%, I'm the one that chose not to go to church anymore. I'm also the one that chose to be in a relationship to where that wasn't a priority. So no ill will on anybody, but I take full responsibility because there's two people in that relationship that had choices, and I still was a functioning human being by myself, and I still chose to, I made an idol out of that relationship, not realizing it at the time, and that's okay to admit now.
Yeah, that's very mature of you to admit all that, because a lot of people would just be bashing the other person, blaming it on the other person.
Yeah. Oh, that's count too. I didn't even mean to, but yeah, no, that's just, I don't
put it on the screen like.
Yeah, absolutely not counter.
Yeah, sorry. But yeah, that's just, I don't know. I just don't think that's because at one point in my life, like that person's not in my life anymore, but I still honor them, you know, because they are a human being, and I still respect them, even though it didn't work out, and that's completely fine. But anyway, fast forward, I had everything that I thought, like, we live in Southern Illinois, so I had it all, you know, for our standards. I had the long-term boyfriend that everybody thought we were going to get married, including myself. I had the house, wasn't mine, it was really his, but we did live together. Definitely not suggesting that, but I'm also not going to lie about it. So we had the house, we had the dog. I miss that dog. But we had the dog, and we had really nice jobs. I worked for the post office at that time, and he had a really nice job, and we just had it made in the shade, like so much so that like my dad even was like, man, whenever people ask me about him, all I can say is like that I'm just really proud of you because you've really made it for yourself after school. And for a girl that really has only ever wanted her dad's approval, that like fed into me staying. Yeah. Also not saying that that's my dad's fault, by the way, but I had made that my identity, was that I'm just, you know, like I'm this girl that is with her boyfriend that hopefully we get married one day, and this is just life. Like I was making it for a 20-year-old at the time, like freshly out of high school, immediately moved into a house of my own. Like I was Miss Independent. I really was. Like someone needed to sit me down. But anyway, I had it all, but I was the most depressed that I've ever been, in my whole entire life. And the sadness just kind of didn't go away. And I'd kind of had like this, I never like wanted to admit that I was depressed, but I'd always been sad, like since a little kid, and it never made sense. I didn't ever talk about it, so people even watching this would probably be like, what are you talking about? Like that's not you. I think I concealed it very well, but it also made me to where I was not an emotional person, and I did not like talking about my feelings. Like did not like doing that. But say a lot too. I'm sorry.
I guess it's okay.
Yeah, I guess it's okay. Yeah, I do say like a lot.
I've been catching myself saying the word like every now and then. It's like
Yeah.
And every time I say it, I'm like
Yeah. Counter. No, just kidding. But try not to say But I Anyway, we're just going to have to forget it because I'm going to say it a million more times. So I had the life that I thought that I wanted, but I was the most depressed that I've ever been. Like, not to the point of harming myself, but definitely to the point to where I'm like, despair. Like, I felt like Ecclesiastes. At that time, I would not have referenced that because I was not in my Bible, but I felt like Ecclesiastes. Like, I felt like, what was life? Like, what am I doing here? Except for the fact that I wasn't praising God at the end. Like, that's what I felt. And I had valued, like, I was accepting the amount of love that I thought that I deserved, which really wasn't love at all, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I just really had a lot of, like, identity problems in the sense of, like, I didn't even know what a child of God looked like what they should honor and how they should uphold themselves and how they should carry themselves. Like, I just was like, okay, I'm a Southern Illinois girl. This is a good life for a Southern Illinois girl, and I'm gonna keep rolling with it. And hopefully one day this guy that I'm with, like, hopefully one day we get married, you know. And we didn't. And no ill will, but I'm glad that didn't happen, because I would not be where I am spiritually today if I had. We would have been equally yoked if we had got married, but in the sense of, like, two unbelievers.
Yeah.
Like, because I grew up in church, but I still don't even consider myself saved until I was 22. So to get to that part, very long story.
It's
Told
okay.
you. But we broke up, right? We were living together, so I moved out because it was his house, and I moved back in with my parents at, like, I was almost 21. No, I was 21 at the time. I was almost 22, and I was Miss Independent, as we said before, and so I was like, what am I doing back here? Like, for real, what is going on with my life? Because if I think about it, like, my job and everything like that stayed the same, but my whole life as a daily routine, everything was different. I moved back in my parents, and I don't even get up to go to work the same way. Because now I'm in a completely different house, one I'd lived in before, so it really wasn't the end of the world. But just completely different. Like, I woke up one day, I was, in this house here with this person, with the dog and the fence and everything was great. And then wake up the next morning and I'm in my childhood bedroom. And that was a real humbling moment for me that I needed. Like, I really did need that. But I don't know. It was just a really good thing that it all happened the way that it did.
Yeah.
Because I was one of those people that really needed to hit rock bottom to realize just how far away from God I was. And I don't wish that on everybody, but I feel like most testimonies that I hear, that's how it is.
Yeah.
Like, you just hit this moment where you realize, what am I doing? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Totally.
this is not the life that I know that God would want for me. I'm miserable. Like, why do I think that this is better than the plan that I just don't know what's happening next that God has for me? Because I'm planning this and it's not working out for me. not the Bible.
No, I thought you were like,
No, I was just really, really intense. But like, the life that I was planning for myself wasn't working out for me.
Yeah.
And I was miserable. Why would anything that God had planned for me be worse than this? You know what I'm saying? So I moved back home. I was a little bitter about it, not gonna lie. I'm like, what am I doing back in my, like, high school room? Mind you, I should have sat myself down because I had two parents that lovingly and willingly took me back into their house.
Yeah.
And so I lived there for about 2 years. And in the midst of that, before I moved out on my own, I had this moment to where I asked myself, I was like, okay, I know that God's real. But if I died today, like, where would I go? And I didn't know. And I was like, whoa. We need to reevaluate a couple things, because I knew that God got me out of that relationship. I knew that God got me plugged into a church, because at this point I had like kind of just recently got plugged into our Sunday school group. And I knew that all of that was because of God. So I knew that his goodness was literally following me everywhere I went. But I didn't know for sure. And so I was like, well, I'm 22 and I think it's about time. So I was in my old bedroom. I have a bathroom that's attached, and I was in the bathroom and I was like, all right, God, like, I know that you're real. And I know that you sent your son to die for me. And like, I want to accept that, because I feel like I've known it for so long and I haven't accepted it. And I'm just tired of not knowing anymore. I'm tired of thinking that you're not chasing after me, even though your goodness has literally followed me my whole life. And I'm tired of letting these mind games win. So I know that Jesus is the Son of God. I know that he's my Messiah. I know that he's my Savior. I know that he came to this earth for all of our sins and was the ultimate sacrifice. And I'm giving my life to you.
Amen.
And then my life even got better after that. And so would that have happened if I wouldn't have gotten out of that relationship? Maybe. Do I think that I would be as hungry as I am now? Absolutely not. I don't.
There's 3.
Yeah, absolutely not. Oh, I didn't even mean to.
There's 4.
Yeah. But
so I don't think we said it on the podcast. She told us beforehand that she says absolutely not a lot.
Yeah,
so
that's like
that's why we're keeping track of how many times.
Yeah. So 4. Yeah. Make bets by the end of the podcast. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that.
Gambling is this.
It is. So, but yeah, I don't even remember what your question was, but I hope that answered it.
Testimony story.
Okay. Yeah.
But I just love how you realize you're at rock bottom, and you're like a lot of testimonies. Well, also a lot of people feel like they have to be perfect to come to Jesus. A lot of people feel like they have to fix themselves to come to Jesus. And that is such a good story of why you don't have to. Jesus wants you where you are. Yeah. He doesn't need you to be perfect. He doesn't expect you to be perfect. He's the only perfect person who will ever walk this planet. And so you don't need to fix yourself. Jesus is knocking at the door, waiting for you to open it. And take his hand and let him fix you. And I think, and that's so true, because whenever I look back at even before I moved out and before that relationship ended, there was so many times to where Jesus was literally like courting me. Like, he was trying his darndest. I just was not paying attention. And there was just so many moments when I do look back to where I know that he was there. And I've heard this said before, so definitely not me saying this for the first time ever, but how he's just such a gentleman. Like, he truly is. And he was, even before I chose him, showing me that he was consistently going to be there. He was always going to love me. And that there's not, like, the only thing that was holding me back was me not choosing him. And then I finally did. And I was like, I wouldn't take any of it back. I wouldn't rewrite it. But what was I waiting on? Yeah. Because, like, this is the purest love that I've ever known. Literally. Like, God is love.
Like, why was I so scared?
Yeah.
And I think it's because I just accepted a version of love that was not what he was trying to show me for so long that I didn't even know what true love looked like. Yeah. And so, anyway, he's just good like that.
I've heard that same analogy about him being a gentleman. Yeah. And, the enemy is the complete opposite. Jesus is a gentleman. He'll knock at your door, where the enemy is going to find that window that's unlocked, and he's going to break into the house. And so Jesus is just sitting there, hey, I hear you crying in there. oh, I want to come in and help you.
Yeah.
And then the enemy is just going to sneak in that window and be like, I know you hear that knocking. Don't go and answer that.
Mm-hmm.
You could come do this.
Yeah. You're comfortable here. Why would you leave?
Yep.
It's going to be harder if you try to leave,
Mhm.
because that's what was ringing in my head.
Exactly.
Like, you can't leave. Like, heck, I can't. I did.
I did.
Not today, Satan.
One of my favorite analogies, kind of back to what you were saying a minute ago. You're saying that people think they need to be perfect. Is like one of my favorite analogies is you don't go take a shower absolutely clean. You like you don't get clean and take a shower. You take a shower to get clean.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's like God is that shower. He's what makes you clean and pure and all that. And
That's
so
good.
Yeah, it's good.
It's one of my favorite analogies. It really
because it paints the picture for you.
Yeah, it really does, and
Yeah.
it helps you realize just how amazing He is.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's so many different, and like just so many different things that I have, just little tiny things where I know He's there. Like on the way here. This is so little, but it was so funny. I got like paint and stuff, a couple little things of paint. And this is don't ever do this, but I was painting on the way here in the car, making a little Valentine's Day thing for my girlfriend.
Okay.
and
It was sweet, but you're an idiot
so
for doing that while driving.
I think that
do
may be worse than texting and driving.
Probably. But anyways, I had the paint.
Christian, this is why you get pulled over.
I don't get pulled over like ever. The last time
You
I
have
was.
a couple.
So you had the
Yeah.
paint.
But anyways, So anyways, I had the paint and I was sitting there, and then I think I was turning and it flew off.
Oh.
But the thing was off, like the lid was off, and it happened 2 times. So the first time it landed with like sticking straight up, and I was like that, and I was like, oh,
You're like, thank God.
I was like, thank you, Lord.
Yeah.
And so then it happened again, and I was like, oh crap. So I'm like, I got to a stopping point, and I'm looking around, and it was on a trash bag that I had. I was like,
praise God.
thank you so much, Lord.
Yeah.
It's just like, even though it's the tiniest little thing, it's just little things where you know that He's there for you.
Yeah.
Looking out for you for the little things.
He's like,
too.
I got your back. Again.
Stop being stupid.
No.
I got you.
Just kidding.
So.
But He's just good like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He
Like,
really is.
and I don't know why it takes so long to get through my thick skull that He literally is like your number one supporter.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's always there for you.
But I one of the main things that's like been ringing in my head recently is just like all of the things that He brings to our remembrance. So like even like when we take communion, like we're supposed to take that in remembrance of Him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the only thing. It's not just limited to communion.
Yeah.
Like we can remember all of the good things that He's done in our lives, all of the trials that He's brought us through, all of the things that didn't feel good, but He's still been there.
Mm-hmm.
Like He's the most consistent thing that we will ever have, and we have Him for eternity as soon as we accept Him.
Yeah.
And there's just something like so cool about that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's cool.
Well, MaKayda, thank you so much for coming on this episode of the
You're
Keepin' It 100
welcome.
Yeah,
podcast.
we really appreciate you having you on.
Yeah,
so.
thanks for having me, guys. It's been super cool. Just hanging
Absolutely.
out.
Yeah.
We say this every episode we have a guest on. We're mind blown with knowledge, I feel like.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's the little things, like how you interpret certain verses and certain things in the Bible that can honestly change the way you think about Christianity and just God in general. So thank you for spreading that knowledge with us and to them. So we hope you got a lot out of this episode.
Absolutely.
Enjoyed listening to her talk and everything. We might have you on again someday.
Okay.
And you can spread more of that knowledge.
Sounds good. I'll have classes in between then, so I'll bring notes or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned. We got a lot coming at you.
Oh, yeah.
And make sure
To
to keep it 100.